New footage reportedly shows Russian nuclear warheads being moved into Belarus, just miles from NATO territory. Is this strategic deterrence or the beginning of a dangerous new escalation in Europe? For nearly 30 years, Belarus was completely free of nuclear weapons. Following the end of the Cold War, the nation voluntarily surrendered the massive nuclear arsenal it inherited from the Soviet Union, going so far as to mandate a strict non-nuclear status directly within its constitution. By May 2026, that history was rewritten. Under the watchful eyes of Presidents Vladimir Putin and Alexander Lukashenko, joint military drills actively practiced the covert transport of what the Russian military calls special munitions. Troops executed simulated electronic missile launches, formally bringing Belarusian territory under the protective reach of the Russian nuclear umbrella. This map illustrates exactly why these deployments matter. Belarus shares 1,084-kilometer border with Ukraine to the south. To the west and north, it sits immediately adjacent to 3 NATO member states: Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia. The geographic buffer zone that separated these military powers since the 1990s has been replaced by a direct nuclear deployment. To understand the threat, we must break down the specific short-range and tactical aerial delivery systems that Russia has permanently stationed at key military hubs across Belarus. Slide 1 focuses on the ground deterrent. This satellite image shows the 465th Missile Brigade stationed in Osipovichi, highlighting the specialized garages recently constructed to house Iskander-M and Iskander-K launch vehicles. These mobile missile systems have a 500-kilometer range and carry a thermonuclear payload between 5 and 50 kilotons. They travel at Mach 6 to 7, several times the speed of sound, executing high-G evasive maneuvers designed to slip past modern air defense networks. Slide 2 details the aerial component. This overhead view of Lida Air Base focuses on newly covered revetments, protecting Belarusian Su-25 attack jets. Russian technicians modified these conventionally armed airframes to carry modern tactical nuclear gravity bombs. We know this integration is actively progressing. In recent drills, Belarusian pilots completed specialized flight training under the instruction of Russian aerospace personnel, utilizing aircraft equipped with highly realistic nuclear mock-ups. Combining mobile ground launchers with modified air support gives Russia a multi-layered, highly flexible tactical strike capability, positioned directly on the edge of NATO territory. Slide 3 brings us to the strategic anchor of this operation, the Oreshnik hypersonic missile, which officially entered service on Belarusian territory in late 2025. This map demonstrates the Oreshnik's threat profile. The system carries multiple independently targetable reentry vehicles, or MIRVs, warheads that strike different targets, plunging through the atmosphere at Mach 10. With an operational range of 5,500 kilometers, it can threaten targets across all of Western Europe. Slide 4 focuses on the storage facilities. Housing active nuclear warheads requires immense, highly specialized security infrastructure, which is actively being constructed at the 1405th Artillery Ammunition Base. This side-by-side comparison confirms the upgrades. On the left, you can see how the Belarusian base has been retrofitted with new triple-layer fencing and covered checkpoints, matching the extremely strict security standards of Russia's 12th Main Directorate facility at Volga 20 on the right. The scale of this permanent physical infrastructure suggests Russia is establishing a long-term presence for its nuclear arsenal in the region. We have seen the hardware and the infrastructure, but we have to ask about the politics. What exactly do Moscow and Minsk gain from making such a provocative move? For Moscow, the motivation is heavily tied to the war in Ukraine. The Kremlin frames this deployment as a direct mirror to NATO's own nuclear sharing policies in Europe, utilizing the threat of nearby nuclear weapons to deter the West from supplying long-range conventional weapons to Kyiv. For Minsk, the motivation centers on regime survival. The updated Belarusian military doctrine makes this explicit, specifically citing the threat of Western-backed color revolutions and internal instability as justification for hosting weapons. Lukashenko witnessed mass protests in his own streets in 2020 and the 2022 unrest in Kazakhstan. By hosting Russian nuclear warheads, he links the safety of his regime to the protection of Russian nuclear assets, raising the stakes for Moscow to intervene if his government faces another internal crisis. Lukashenko has effectively traded away 3 decades of his nation's sovereign neutrality for an ultimate, nuclear-backed guarantee of his own political survival. The presence of Russian warheads places the nuclear threshold on a border that was once non-nuclear, forcing a recalculation of defense strategies across the region. Thank you everyone for your time and participation today. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the Global Warwatch Network. We want to hear your thoughts, so please share them in the comment section below. And don't forget to join us on social media. The links are provided in the description. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.